Hi guys, and welcome back to Rachel's Enchanting Cakes. Now for this week's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to create a real black flamed candle cake. No special effects, just science. Everything you need to know step by step and completely food safe. Happy baking everyone, you're going to love this one. Let's make a start. Here I have baked a 8-inch square cake that is roughly 2 inches deep. Then using a 4-inch round cake drum, I simply carve away the cake so that I have 4 individual pieces. So these are the 4 pieces that I have cut out. Now don't worry if they're not perfectly circular, it's all going to depend on the size of your cake tin. I then start by taking a 4-inch round cake drum and cover this with some buttercream. You can use ganache if you prefer. Simply place one of the round pieces of cake centrally directly onto the cake drum and then add more buttercream. Now for the purpose of this tutorial, I am not adding thick layers. I'm only adding a small amount because I don't want to waste ingredients. However, obviously for a real cake, you can make the layers as thick as you want to. Simply repeat this process with the other 3 pieces of cake, adding a filling in between each one of them. Because this cake is so tall, we need to support it. To do this, I simply use one cake dowel pushed right through the centre. This will prevent it from toppling over. You simply push the cake dowel in and then using a pencil, just mark on the top. Here I have something called a pipe cutter, and I find it really easy to cut the wooden cake dowels with this. Simply cut down your cake dowel using the pipe cutter or another piece of equipment that you already have and place it directly into the centre of the cake. Now simply cover the top of this with more buttercream, and then in order to make this cake completely food safe, place another 4-inch round cake drum directly onto the top. The buttercream will help glue this into place. All we need to do now is crumb coat the cake. This is a process where we simply add a layer of buttercream or ganache to the outside of the cake in order to give the fondant something to stick to. This is why it doesn't matter if your circles are not perfect, as the buttercream will fill in these gaps. Simply cover all of the cake and then just take some time smoothing it out and place it directly in the fridge. I'm now going to add some fondant to the top before we cover the sides. So simply roll out some black fondant on some icing sugar and then using a circle cutter, cut out a large circle. I glue this directly to the cake drum using some cooled down boiled water. To cover this cake easily, simply roll out roughly 800 grams of black fondant, keeping it in a rectangular shape. If you have a 4-inch round cake, it wants to be on average 12 inches long, and then obviously make sure it's the height of the cake. So mine was 12 inches by 9 inches. Give yourself a little bit of leeway, constantly measure with a ruler and try to keep it in a rectangular shape. My cake has come straight out of the fridge, which means the fillings are hard. So even if you use jam inside there, as long as you have created a well, it will be fine. You then simply roll the fondant around. Where the pieces of fondant meet, add a small amount of water, cut off the excess, and then we're just going to trim off the top. Using a sharp knife, carefully cut away the excess fondant at the top. For the embossed lettering, I am using the small spellbound set by Amy Cakes. I simply take out each letter using a small piece of fondant, place it in order on my work surface, and then use a sticky pad that is also available by Sweet Stamp. Place it directly onto there. Don't worry if you don't have a sticky pad, you can place these directly into the cake one at a time and simply take it out very carefully with some tweezers. Simply take the sticky pad and gently push this into your soft fondant. Due to the amount of letters available, I am doing one word at a time. Using a cocktail stick, I then simply add a few indentations just to give it a bit more character just around the wording that I have embossed. I then take a tea light that has been cut down slightly so it fits into the fondant. I mark the fondant first and cut away any excess. This is going to be the black flame. You just want the stainless steel or the aluminium from the tea light. You need to take out the candle wax because it's not quite as simple as that. We're going to need to add a few things to this in order to create that black flame. Using Ingenious Edibles icing whitener as a paint and a very fine brush, take your time simply in painting the embossed letters on your cake. Take a small bowl of marshmallows and heat them up in the microwave on short 30-second bursts. Once they have cooled down slightly, simply pick them up with your fingers and drape them around your cake. This is such a simple, easy technique and creates a beautiful spiderweb spooky kind of effect. For the candle wax, I make up some royal icing, place this directly in a disposable piping bag and then simply pipe around the outside edges of the top of the candle. You can find the recipe and method for royal icing in the description below the video. Take your refrigerated cake and place it directly onto a cake drum covered with a small amount of buttercream. By refrigerating it, you are less likely to damage the cake in this process. I then melt some more marshmallows, but this time add a small amount of black food colouring. Using the same process as I did for the sides of the cake, start taking the black marshmallows and simply place this randomly over your cake drum. It adds a lovely effect. I also placed small amounts of this actually on the cake. And if you then take a cocktail stick, you're able to move the marshmallows just a little bit more and make them even more detailed and intricate. An excellent effect, it's tasty and easy to do. I then add 3 tea lights to the decorated cake drum. This is so when the black flamed candle is actually lit, these ones are obviously just going to be a normal flame and you know there are no special effects involved and your guests will be totally wowed by it all. Now for the black flamed candle effect, we need different lighting. This is a low pressure sodium vapor lamp. They are widely available, they are not expensive and I purchased this on eBay. It's just a bit like when you're making the glow in the dark cakes. They need a slightly different lighting. So I'll repeat myself, a low pressure sodium vapor lamp. There are 2 more main elements to make the black flame. So here I have dipping solution. This is a food grade alcohol. You're also going to need some table salt, sodium chloride, and start by mixing the table salt with some warm water. Using a small syringe, I very carefully add the ethanol directly to the tea light. I'm using a syringe to make sure it doesn't end up on the top of the cake. Using a small spoon, I then add the mixture of the salt and the water. And it really is as simple as that. I now light the tea lights, as you can see me do here, and then just wait until you see the black flamed candle. Happy baking, everyone. I really do hope I've helped you again today. This is definitely one to impress your guests.